Hello future MDs! In this video, we're going to study biology. So itong bio lecture review na to is divided into 4 parts and punong-puno siya ng concepts. So I hope na makatulong to talaga sa review nyo. I'll just put the links to the other parts sa description below. If you find this video helpful, please consider subscribing to this channel. By the way, our lecturer here is Miss April Ballesteros. She graduated Bachelor of Science in Biology in UP Baguio and currently an incoming third-year medical student at Cagayan State University College of Medicine. Super thankful ako sa kanya kasi pumayag siya na i-record ko yung lecture niya and i-upload sa YouTube. I hope that this will also help you sa pagre-review niyo for NMAP. That's all. Let's proceed.
Hello. So I'll be discussing with you the basic concepts in biology. And dinagdag ko din dito yung mga na-recall ko during my NMAT exam last 2017. Biology is defined as the study of life, the science of living organisms, including its structure, composition, function, and development. So what are the characteristics of life? An alive organism is capable of growth and development. They can also reproduce and produce their offsprings, and they also possess hereditary traits na napapasa nila sa mga offspring nila. They also have the ability to maintain a relatively stable internal environment or what we call the self-regulation. Ito naman yung tinatawag na homeostasis. They can also metabolize energy from chemical reactions, and they also has cellular structures and composition. And they can also respond to the internal and external stimuli. So all living organisms are well organized. So ito yung hierarchy from atom to biosphere. And yung cell, it is considered the basic structural and functional unit of an organism. Meron tayong tinatawag na cell theory, which states that all living things are composed of one or more cells. And since cells are considered to be the basic unit of life, they are the smallest living things. And they can arise only by division of a previously existing cell. Cells also carry genetic information in the form of DNA. There are two cell types, prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Prokaryotic, they lack true nucleus and they don't have membrane-bound organelles. So, ibig sabihin, exposed yung nucleus nila sa environment. And they appear to be simpler in structure. Ang napapabilang dito sa cell type na to ay yung bacteria, blue-green algae, and archaea. On the other hand, we also have the eukaryotic or yung more complex and much larger than the prokaryotic cell. They have true nucleus. This includes protists, fungi, animal, and plant cells. So, what are the basic differences ng prokaryotic cell sa eukaryotic cell natin? So, yung presence ng organelles sa eukaryotic cells and yung prokaryotic cell, they divide through binary fission. However, eukaryotic cell divide through cell division, can either be through mitosis or meiosis. Ang similarities naman nila, they have cell membrane, and both of them also possess cytosol, chromosomes, and ribosomes. So what are the cell components? We have here plasma membrane. Plasma membrane, the same lang siya sa cell membrane. It separates the cell from the surrounding. So it serves as a barrier. Cytoplasm, ito yun, it contains the organelles. It is thick fluid filling inside the cell. Yung protoplasm, iba yung protoplasm sa cytoplasm. Ang protoplasm kasi, it is a collective term for the different substances that make up the cell. It is composed of water, electrolytes, proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. Ngayon, we also have organelles. These are cellular structures suspended in the cytoplasm performing its unique and specific functions. And lastly, cell has genetic material, or they contain the biological information or the hereditary materials. So, i-discuss naman natin isa-isa yung mga organelles. So, we have here on the left side an image of an animal cell. So, very prominent upon looking at, makikita na agad natin yung main difference nila, yung shape. Kasi dito sa right natin, this is an image of a plant cell. So yung shape ng plant cell, it is rectangular. And ang nag-maintain ng shape na ito, cell wall. It maintains the cell shape of the plant cell, which is not found in the animal cell. So here we have the nucleus. Nucleus contains the DNA material. So ang nucleus, ito yung purple dito sa gitna. Siya yung control center. It contains the DNA material. It is enclosed by a nuclear envelope. It is a protein-lined pores that allow material to move in and out. Yung darker purple sa gitna, it is the nucleolus. It is a condensed region where ribosomes are formed. And yung chromatin naman, ito yung nasa gitnang part. This is composed of DNA and associated proteins. We also have here, continuous dun sa nucleus or nuclear envelope, we have here the endoplasmic reticulum, specifically the RAF endoplasmic reticulum. So ang difference, pag RAF, meron siyang ribosome. So R for RAF, R is to R. RAF is to ribosome. Yung ribosome, it is considered to be the factory kasi dun yung site ng protein synthesis. Next, we have here the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which synthesizes cholesterol and lipids. We also have here the mitochondria. Itong orange na to. Yung mitochondria, it is considered as the powerhouse cell because it generates ATP. Mitochondrial enzymes catalyze series of oxidation reaction that provide about 95% of cells' energy supply. So yung trivia lang, yung mitochondria, meron din siyang DNA. And then we also have here yung plasma membrane. I-discuss na lang natin separately yun. It is the barrier. So we have here the Golgi apparatus, or siya yung parang post office. Kasi it is responsible for modification and packaging ng proteins natin. Recycling center naman ang tawag sa lysosome. Itong circle na pink. Because it is responsible for digestion since it contains hydrolytic enzymes. We also have here peroxisomes, which are responsible in metabolizing waste. These are small membranous sacs containing enzymes that detoxify harmful substances that enter the cell. So, ang isang main product ng peroxisome is the hydrogen peroxide. It is very important because it is involved in most of the redox metabolism, reaction, and processes of the cell. So, punta naman tayo sa plant cell. Pareho silang may vacuole. Pag vacuole, it is mainly for storage. Pero yung plant cell natin, it has a very large central vacuole. It is filled with cell sap that maintains pressure against the cell wall. It also has chloroplast, or the site of photosynthesis, because animals are autotrophs, diba? So they generate their own food. We also have plastids that store pigments. Ito yung nagbibigay ng different color sa mga plant cells natin. We also have here yung endoplasmic reticulum, the rough and smooth. Plant cell also has nucleus, ribosomes, Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, and peroxisome. Okay, so we have here the cytoskeleton. Balikan na lang natin yung cytoskeleton later. This table is just a summary of the differences between the animal cell and plant cell. So basically, plant cell has cell wall, which is not found in the animal cell. And cell wall na to, it is composed of cellulose. And yung shape ng animal cell is round and irregular. And yung plant cell naman, it is rectangular and fixed due to the presence of cell wall. Absent din sa animal cell ang chloroplast and plastids. Pero meron silang centrosome and lysosome, which are not evident or absent in the plant cell. Nakita natin kanina yung cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton, it is the network of filaments. Lumabas to sa exam namin before, parang natanong yung function ng cytoskeleton. So, basically, they are responsible for the structure, transport, and cell motility. Ito, yung arrangement ng cytoskeleton, lumabas din ito. So, it is composed of 3 parts. Microtubules being the largest. Approximately, it has 25 nanometers. Next, yung intermediate filaments, around 10 nanometers, and microfilament around 7 nanometers. So, yung microtubules, so apparently, they are larger than the microfilaments. And they are rigid, hollow tubes made from tubulin. And they are involved in flagella and cilia construction and spindle apparatus. Next naman is the intermediate filament. They provide structural support. Pag zoom in natin yung intermediate filament, doon natin nakikita yung microfilaments. These are helpful in maintaining in the movement of the cell from within. The contractile force in microvilli and muscle, the squeeze membrane together in phagocytosis and cytokinesis. We also have cell expansions like the microvilli, cilia, and flagella. Microvilli, they are found in the epithelial cells that line the intestines and other areas where absorption is important. They also help to increase cell's surface area. Cilia, they are only found in the fallopian tubes and respiratory tract of humans. Flagella, on the other hand, are found in the tail of the sperm. So yung cilia and flagella, they are for locomotion. Chromosomes, it is the part of the nucleus which is distinct during reproduction. Centrioles, which are only found in animal cell, are involved during cell division. They have function in production of flagella and cilia, but not microtubule. Iba yun doon sa microtubule. Kasi di ba nabanggit natin na yung microtubule, they are also involved in flagella and cilia construction. Centrosome, these are non-membranous structure involved in cell division as well. And they coordinate the building and breaking of microtubules in the cell. Its general location is defined by the location of the centrioles. So, i-discuss naman natin ngayon yung plasma membrane or yung barrier natin. Plasma membrane are considered to be semi-permeable. Meron tayong tinatawag na fluid mosaic model. It is a theory explaining how the cell membranes are constructed. The molecules of the cell membranes are arranged in sheet, and the mosaic of molecules is fluid. That is, the molecules are able to float around slowly. This model illustrates that molecules of the plasma membrane form a continuous sheet. Diba? Continuous lang siya. And chemical attractions are the forces that hold membranes together. And our plasma membrane has 3 components. We have here the lipid bilayer. So, ito yung nagsiseparate sa outside or external surface natin. And itong lipid layer naman na to sa internal membrane naman. We also have cholesterol, and lastly, we have the membrane proteins. So, i-zoom in naman natin. Ngayon, yung phospholipid, it has hydrophilic head or water-loving and a hydrophobic tail or water-fearing. Kaya siya sinabing selective kasi hindi lahat ng molecules makakapass through dun sa barrier natin kasi dito sa gitna, kunwari, hydrophobic siya. Nire-repel niya yung molecule na yun, kunwari water siya, nire-repel niya yun pabalik dun sa external environment or sa internal environment. Nagkakaroon ng repulsion. So, cholesterol, ito yung orange. These are molecules scattered among the phospholipids to allow the membrane to function properly at body temperature. Yung cholesterol, it is very important kasi siya yung nag-maintain ng fluidity ng plasma membrane natin. We also have the proteins or the membrane proteins. This helps the cell to maintain balance or homeostasis. It can either be intrinsic protein or extrinsic. Intrinsic, ibig sabihin, they are inside the plasma membrane, like the integral proteins. Extrinsic proteins are on the peripheral side or the outside of the plasma membrane. Since nabanggit na natin or na-discuss na natin yung plasma membrane or yung characteristic ng plasma membrane natin, ngayon naman, tingnan naman natin yung traffic of molecules across the membrane. Ito, lumabas din siya sa exam namin before. Parang kung ano, ang tanong ay kung ano yung magpapass through doon sa membrane. So you should familiarize yourself dito sa mga nasa left side. So ang easily na magpapass through, we have the small polar uncharged molecules like the water, glycerol, ethanol. We also have here the small hydrophobic molecules like the oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and benzene. Mga molecules naman that can pass with help are the ions. Makakapass through lang sila kung may parang mag-i-aid, like yung proton pump, mga ganun. And ang hindi makakapass through naman dun sa membrane natin are large uncharged polar molecules like the amino acid, glucose, nucleotides. So dito, ginagamitan sila ng, kunwari pag amino acid, meron siyang mga GLUT4, ganun. So you should familiarize yourself on the list to the left. Okay, so paano naman yung cell transport? So we have here two types, the passive transport and active transport. Pag passive, ibig sabihin, it doesn't require ATP. Pag active, it requires ATP. So ang mnemonic ko dito, active starts with letter A. So kailangan niya ng A para mabuo yung word na active. So ganun din, for it to be called as active transport, it should involve ATP. Sa passive transport natin, meron tayong diffusion, dialysis, osmosis. Let us first define diffusion. Diffusion, it is the movement of molecules from higher concentration gradient to lower concentration gradient. Kasi 'di ba ang aim natin dito is equilibrium. So palaging higher to lower para ma-fill niya yung gap doon sa lower concentration. Kaya ganun yung movement ng molecules natin. Under diffusion, we have what we call simple diffusion and facilitated diffusion. And by the way, ang sinabi natin, na-mention natin na hindi kailangan ng ATP. So ano yung ginagamit sa diffusion para mag-proceed yung movement? Ang source ng energy dito is yung normal kinetic motion of matter. Diba gumagalaw yung mga matter and nag-form sila ng kinetic energy. So yun yung driving force ng diffusion natin. Okay, so we have here the simple diffusion and the facilitated diffusion. Pag sinabing simple diffusion, it can occur in two pathways. First, through the interstices of the lipid bilayer if the diffusing substance is lipid soluble. So anong example nito? Yung mga lipid soluble, like yung we have here the oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen. So they can pass easily through the interstices through simple diffusion. Yung pangalawa naman, through watery channels that penetrate all the way through some of the large transport proteins. Wala kasi si image dito, pero dito, it involves channel proteins. Ang example naman dito is yung mga small uncharged polar molecules natin. Like yung sa water, it has channel proteins called the aquaporins. So these aquaporins selectively permit rapid passage of water through the membrane. So for facilitated diffusion, on the other hand, it requires interaction of a carrier protein. Meron tayong tinatawag na carrier protein dito. The carrier proteins aid passage of the molecules or ions through the membrane by binding chemically with them and shuttling them through the membrane in this form. So ito na yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung amino acid natin. Ito yung mga GLUT4. Meron silang carrier protein for them to pass through. Okay, so punta naman tayo sa active transport. By the way, dun sa active transport, yung movement ng solute kasi can either be from low concentration to high concentration or high concentration to low concentration. Kaya it requires ATP. So ngayon, sa active transport natin, we have here endocytosis and exocytosis. Endo, ibig sabihin, paloob, it is the process in which the edges of the plasma membrane fuse to form a vesicle. Pwede siyang phagocytosis or pinocytosis. Phagocytosis, it is the engulfing of the organism. Ang example dito is yung white blood cells natin. They engulf the bacteria. So the process is called phagocytosis. Yung pinocytosis naman, ang involved dito ay liquid material. So the liquid material are brought into the cell containing dissolved molecules. And lastly, yung exocytosis, this is the extrusion of materials from a cell via vesicles, but in a reverse way dun sa endocytosis. Sorry, hindi ko pala na-mention kanina yung sa dialysis and osmosis. Dialysis, it is a form of diffusion in which selective permeable nature of membrane causes separation of smaller solute particles from larger solute particles. Osmosis is it is also a diffusion of water. Water naman pag osmosis. Pag sinabing osmosis, water. Through a selectively permeable membrane, and it limits the diffusion of at least some of the solute particles. Sa osmosis, meron tayong tinatawag na term na osmotic pressure. It is the water pressure that develops as a result of osmosis. So ngayon, punta tayo sa tonicity. Tonicity, it is defined as the concentration of the solute compared to another solute. So here, pag isotonic, pag sinabing isotonic, equal lang yung amount ng solute dun sa loob at labas ng cell. Meron siyang dynamic equilibrium. So constant or zero yung movement. So okay yon dun sa cell. Tingnan naman natin kung masasubject yung cell natin sa hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution, ibig sabihin, mas mataas yung concentration ng solute sa labas. Always remember, kung nasaan si sodium, doon pupunta si water. Diba? For it to attain equilibrium, ang sabi natin kanina, the movement of the water is from higher concentration to lower concentration. So since mas marami yung sodium sa labas ng cell or mas onti yung water, mas madami yung water na lalabas. Lalabas ngayon yung water, pero mas onti yung pumapasok na water sa loob ng cell. So ang nangyayari dun sa cell is magkakaroon ng shrinkage. Yun yung concept ng pickles. Di ba nasa-submerge yung pickles sa hypertonic solution, kaya nagsishrink sila. Pag hypotonic solution naman, ang nangyayari is mas mataas yung concentration ng solute dun sa loob ng cell compared dun sa labas. So, mas marami yung water sa labas. So, mas maraming papasok na water and magkakaroon ng cell swelling and eventually hindi na siya makakontain ng cell, magkakaroon ng bursting or lysis. So, this is just a summary of the tonicity of solutions. And tingnan naman natin ngayon yung application nito sa animal cell and plant cell. So we have here for the animal cell, we have RBCs. So kapag na-subject yung RBC natin sa hypotonic solution, ang mangyayari is magla-lyse siya or hemolysis. Sa plant cell naman, magiging turgid yung cell natin. Magsuswell siya. And when these cells are subjected to hypertonic solution, yung animal cell natin mag-crenate or mag-shriveled, and sa plant cell naman is yung tinatawag na plasmolysis. Okay, so punta naman tayo sa central dogma.
Thank you so much, guys. Review pa kayo dito.